Yeah, if you sit sideways, we can get Bambi sideways, like that.
Is there an ant in there? Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Neewer. Today I'm taking you behind the scenes of an outdoor family portrait session, a mother-daughter session to be precise. And along the way, I'll share some of my approach to photographing families outdoors, including things like posing, lighting, balancing a flash with sunlight, and the one question I get asked all the time: do you really need a big outdoor strobe, or can you get away with a speed light? Now for this shoot, I used my Canon R5 with the 70-200. I used the QZ Pro trigger with the Q4 Pro strobe, studio strobe. It's an indoor-outdoor studio strobe. Before we talk about cameras and flashes, here's the most important thing about this video, the whole most important tip I can give you in this video. When you're photographing children, slow down. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself, show them the camera, let them look at the light you're using, like make them laugh, literally get that trust. Because when you have a child that trusts you, you're gonna get better expressions, way better than someone that's nervous around a stranger. So the lighting can be perfect, the camera can be perfect, but if they aren't comfortable, the photo's not gonna be comfortable. Building trust always comes first. Another thing I love doing is photographing people somewhere that it means something to them. This wasn't just a random park, it was their own home garden. This is where they spend time together. 20 years from now, when they look back, they'll remember the little things about that home, that garden, something that will hopefully trigger a happy memory. These are things that make a photograph feel a little bit more personal instead of simply just a pretty background. Does that make sense? Now for this shoot, I had two lights. I had the sun, which I put behind them, so to create separation from the background, give up a little bit of the hair glow, and the greenery in the background, make everything glow. The flash was not there to overpower the sun, it was there to fill in the shadows and bring attention to their faces. That's something important because when I use a flash outdoors, my goal is for them to notice the photograph. If someone looks at the final image and doesn't immediately think, oh, there was a flash there, then I feel like I did my job. One nice thing about the Q4 Pro is that it works with Kodak's X system transmitters with the RX compatibility, which is great if you're already invested in a different ecosystem. Could I have done this with a speed light? Maybe. But once you put a large softbox in front of a flash, you're losing quite a bit of light, about 2 stops I think it is. With the Q4 Pro, it has 400 watt second output, so I could comfortably work around half power through most of that shoot instead of constantly pushing a speed light all the way full power. That gave me faster recycle times and room to adjust as the light changed. Another thing to notice is that the speed light without the softbox would be just fine, but that's not a family shoot. That's a more shadow, more definition. Every imperfection on people's faces is gonna show up because it's a harsher light. And yes, you can shoot without a modifier and the photos are gonna look good, but there's different tools for different jobs. And for this one, I wanted a softer light, a softer feel. So yes, the bigger strobe was the way to go for this particular scenario. Now, the reason I enjoy using the Neewer Q4 Pro is because it is literally a budget-friendly pro strobe. It has plenty of power for larger modifiers, 10 levels of power adjustment all the way down to 1/512th of a power, fast recycling, constant color temperature, built-in modeling lamp for indoor shoots, a 30 watt modeling lamp, TTL mode if you need it, or manual when you want complete control. Everything I need is here. I don't have to fight my equipment while I'm working. It's intuitive and small enough to bring along for any shoot. Now for this shoot, I chose manual mode. Since I keep changing my distance to the subject and occasionally, repositioning lights and stuff, I prefer making those adjustments myself. If you're new to flash photography, TTL works extremely well and it can save you a lot of time. Just remember that once you start putting modifiers or softboxes on top of your flash, you're gonna lose a couple of stops of light. So you might want to dial the exposure compensation there a little bit. Either approach works, I just prefer having control. Placing the light is different for any situation. For one person, I like keeping the light up and to the side, like not too high up, at 45 degrees and to the side. This gives you shape and shade, the shadow and stuff. But when you have two people, the same lighting would cast a shadow on one of them. Now for this particular shoot, we had two people, the mom and daughter, and this space was a little bit tight. It was pretty tight, it was a garden. So instead I put the light up and I aimed it down at like a 45 degree, a little tilt there, up aiming down. That creates just enough shadow underneath the chin to shape without becoming distracting. And then later, once the little one decided she'd had enough of the photos, which is completely normal, it happens every time, I started photographing the mom by herself. Now I could move the light to a side, 45 degrees, just slightly to a side, up. And immediately the portraits gain more depth and dimension because those side shadows, soft lighting on the side, it helps sculpt her face. It's just something to keep in mind. I made that mistake once using the same lighting on a couple's shoot and I had lots of shadows, hours trying to fix that in Photoshop. Never again. Now, this is really important. Photographing everyday people is very different from photographing professional models. Models know exactly how to stand, where to look, how to change poses every time, every frame. Literally, they hear the click and they change poses. It's awesome. But most families don't know how to do this. So slow down. Give simple directions. Turn your shoulders, turn to the side, to the right. Can you grab one of those flowers, June?
Flowers? Can you smell this flower right here? Look at, wait, this one above your head. Is there an ant in there? Yeah, it is.
What kind of ant? So I have the light up there just to light up your side of your face. The sun gives you a little bit of a glow. So reach over towards something over here, one of those plants. Awesome. Let's find a new background. Yeah. What'd you think? No? Do you want to see those? The more relaxed everyone feels, the better the photographs are going to turn. Don't rush. Literally, with this flash, you have 325 full power flashes. Use them. Experiment. Now, when you're balancing flash outdoors, I almost always expose for the background first. My shutter speed is usually around 1/200 of a second, which is my camera's maximum sync speed to the flash. Yes, I have high speed sync, but I didn't need it for this shoot, so I stayed at 200th of a second. From there, I choose an aperture, usually around f4 to f8, so that both subjects are in focus, and I left my ISO of 100 for cleaner photos. Once the ambient exposure looked good and looked right, I adjusted the flash until everything balanced naturally. Now, when you're using a flash, you have 4 ways to change that exposure. You can change your aperture, you can change your ISO, change the flash power, or move the light further or closer to your subject. For every one of those decisions, there's a trade-off. Photography is always a compromise. Now, learning which compromise to make is where experience comes in. Here's a quick example. A couple of weeks ago, I was photographing a Manhattan drink. I wanted a falling droplet right on top of the drink. I wanted to freeze that action. And I use the Q4 Pro. Could I have done it with a speedlight? Absolutely. But I wanted a small aperture for depth of field, still freezing that splash. It's not that the speedlight can't do it, it's that the bigger strobe makes certain jobs easier. At f11, ISO 100, it's just not enough at 1/8 of a power for the speedlight to freeze that action. Remember, when you're using flashes to freeze action, you need that flash duration. It's a quick burst. At full power, the light lingers a lot longer, so you won't be able to freeze the drop. There's gonna be some motion. So you have to shoot at low power. So the only alternative when you're shooting with the speedlight is to raise the ISO or to make that aperture wider to get more light. Now, with the larger strobe, power's not an issue. If you're familiar with the original Q4, here's some of the new improvements on the Q4 Pro. Now you got 10 power levels instead of 9 with 0.1 stop adjustments, constant color temperature, freeze mode, smartphone app control, dual screen displays, and RX compatibility if you're already using the Godox X system triggers. It still offers TTL, manual mode, multi-mode, high-speed sync of up to 1/8000 of a second, a 30-watt modeling lamp, and a 2800 milliamp battery rated for about 325 full power flashes with recycle times as fast as 0.01 of a second. Freeze mode, which is something that I haven't tried yet, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Setting the flash at a lower power setting, you can get speeds of up to 1/28,570th of a second. That's crazy. Overall, I think these are very meaningful improvements that make the Q4 Pro even more versatile. Whether you're shooting portraits like this, or commercial work, or freezing fast moving action, it's gonna make your job a lot easier. Now, there is a lot more to flash photography that I could cover in this one video, so I hope this gives you a good starting point. Now, don't think of a flash as something that fights the sun. Think of it as something that complements the sun. You're simply needing to add light where it's needed. The Neewer Q4 Pro made that really easy during this shoot thanks to its power, quick recycle time, precise output control, and consistent color. Now, if you'd like to learn more about it, I'll leave a link in the video description. And if you feel like you still need a little bit more power, then watch this video I made on the Neewer Q6. I had a lot of fun making that video, and yes, I use a Q6 all the time. I'm actually trying to organize a photo shoot using the Q4 Pro and the Q6. That's gonna be a cool photo shoot if I can get it organized, so fingers crossed. Hopefully we can make it happen. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.